become rich very easily. Let's see.
How would you recommend someone adjust their approach to finances when you take someone who's a low earner and they're just starting their journey, and then you take someone who's comfortable and they're like halfway through their journey, and then you actually take someone who's wealthy by most definitions, and they're at that point now where they can afford, whatever they want?
Well, I think one of the things that happens is, I think the mindset is people do this like apple cart turnover. Hey, I used to invest in my 401k and my Roth IRA, and I built up to $1 million. But oh man, now that I'm here at $1 million, I've got to do something completely different. I got to change my strategy. I got to pursue something else. And we always say, don't forget to dance with the one that brung you. The thing that got you from 0 to 100,000, and from 100,000 to $1 million, and from $1 million to 10 million can be the same that continues on. You may just start adding stuff to it.
Can be, but some people say it's completely different. What got you to 100 or 1 million is not what's going to get you to 10 mil or 50 or even 100.
I may have a really healthy, diversified portfolio across low-cost index funds, but I want to get into real estate. So maybe I go buy my first rental property, I go buy raw land, or I go buy a commercial property. It's not like I'm changing the strategy. I get to kind of add on to the strategy, but the same rules apply. I want to be disciplined. I don't want to over-lever. I don't want to get too far ahead of my skis. I don't want to take on too much risk. You just do those same sort of things, whether you're at the beginning or kind of I'm at the middle point or even at the end. It's not about changing strategy. It's about adjusting and altering strategy.
Well, I think it's a great question, but it's also more of a philosophical on money in general. I mean, one of the things, that's one of the things when we were designing financial order of operations is that you're going to have a change in your journey. Just because we could apply this to expenses too, is that, if you have a limited net worth of say under $100,000, a 1% on that $100,000 is just it's for on $10,000 it's $100, on $100,000 it's, and check my math, I'm doing public math, it's $1,000. Your expenses start changing drastically because when you're under $10,000, every dollar you spend matters. When you get to $100,000, now you can go on vacation and it's okay. You can eat out, and you get to your first $1 million. Okay, now your car can be a little nicer. Well, it's kind of the same way on your tax and your investment journey as well. Is it doesn't have to change all at once, but you just see that your journey will change. That's why I'm telling you, you can start off simple, but complexity will naturally find you, because as you have more and more success, at some point you're going to have to look at your estate plan. At some point you're going to have to look at, yes, you're going to be maxing out. Look at 4 employer plans. How often, we've even had some content creators, they know who they are. They're going to watch this because they're friends of both of us, because they've called us and gotten some advice, and then they follow up, and then they never hire us on it, but they get the free advice from us. When we start talking about, hey, what's the difference between like a solo 401k and then when you graduate to a traditional 401k, but then hey, how about when we bolt on a profit sharing plan? And then what's this thing about a cash balance plan? These are all things that are just, you don't start there, but you grow into them as you have more and more success.
And then what about balancing then risk and speculation versus capital preservation? When do you kind of slide along that scale to really look into asset protection? At what dollar amount? And then when you are in the phase of your life, maybe you're like very young, you're 18, 19, you're starting to make a little bit of money, you could maybe scrounge up an extra $200 a month. Could you just put that in a 3x leveraged ETF instead of doing something else?
There's a problem with those triple leverage.
You could do that. You could, and you could argue, hey, oh yeah, you're young and you've got plenty of time. You can be as aggressive. But I would argue one of the big things is, while you might think that might be being aggressive, what you're really doing, if you take that extra $200 you scrounge up and you're doing 3x triple levered, instead of just buying S&P 500 inside your Roth IRA, the time that you're missing out on those dollars compounding over the next 40 or 50, 60 years can be huge. Because maybe the triple levered thing works, but because of time decay, if you don't actually catch it on momentum and catch it at the right time, you're not actually going to make any money on those. They don't work. You don't think, oh, okay, the S&P 500 makes 10% annualized per year. I'm just going to go buy a triple levered ETF and I'm going to make 30% per year.
It doesn't work that way.
The mathematics don't actually work that way. So how you approach risk can change. And don't mishear, there's nothing wrong with speculation. A lot of people think, oh, you can't You can, but it should be with a small portion of your portfolio and not at the beginning. Like when you speculate, you want to speculate with vacation money, not with grocery money. Because if you start doing with grocery money, you get yourself into a really bad spot. So I think that having riskier investments is okay, so long as you have the foundation built out and you're doing the things you're supposed to be doing on the baseline, and then you want to add in that more aggressive
Well,
stuff.
I'll even take it to life. I do think young
I'll
people.
hold on. I'll just basically say, as long as you have your emergency fund for a year at least, 6 months to a year, but a year, if you've got 2 years emergency fund, then you can go a bit more aggressive. All they're pretty much saying is make sure your foundation is built if you want to be a bit more riskier. But if you want to be a bit more riskier and your foundation isn't built, there might be instances where you need money and you're going to have to pull out from your investment and you lose out on all the gains you've made, which is silly.
I mean, when you're in your 20s, that is the time. Take some risk, because I mean, if you fail,
I agree.
you're already so close to the starting line. How much are you losing, on that? There's a lot of endeavors and other things, and I think that you can. I don't want you to go crazy with it, but if you have something that you think you're world class in, I do think people. I mean, that's how we've ended up here. I mean,
Sure.
It's an oddball thing to start a podcast in 2006. It's an oddball thing to go out and start a business. So I like those things, but then I will tell you, I do like just small decisions. I'm not talking out both sides of my mouth, because I say go think boldly in those terms, but I think in terms of your money, I love just index funds because it's so simple. You don't have to put a lot of effort into it. I do believe in this concept of law of accelerating returns. As technology is accelerating faster and faster, and as long as we don't create the robots that kill us, we're going to make more and more money. So if you can start
happen,
investing, you don't have to try to pick the winners. You just buy the market. Buy the market in general, because the expansion is naturally going to create success and opportunity. But I do think as you get older, I'm unfortunately the oldest person in the room. I'm now over the 45 age that I talk about in a lot of our content. Is that I think it's okay to be completely debt free post 45, because you just don't have the multiplier effect on your money like you did when you're in your 20s. And also, if you've won the game, meaning you have enough money that you could do what you want when you want, why run up the scoreboard? Why not dial down some of the risk? Because if you're not missing out. So I paid off my mortgage, so it doesn't mean I'm debt free.
Paid off a 2.75% mortgage.
2.5%.
Last 2.5%.
It was down to $42,000.
Last week, yeah.
It's down to $42,000.
Yeah.
Because my
the
monthly
benefit at
payment.
that point.
Look, at the beginning of the year, I was at like $100,000, but literally my monthly payment was knocking this thing down. It only said I saved a few months, because I mean the monthly payment was just crushing it. And the hassle factor.
that.
Plus, you don't know our audience. I get a lot of pressure going, how do you still have a mortgage? I was like, you're right. What am I doing? The hassle factor at some point, if you do the multiplication on 2.5% on $40,000, it was the squeeze of the fruit just wasn't worth it.
I did that
anymore.
with my car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a 3% interest rate, a 3.3% interest rate on the Tesla.
They're going further into some of their stories and personal stories. But look, the main thing, especially if you're young in your 20s, do not waste it. Don't waste it. Work super hard, save and invest. You could be a bit more riskier if you've built up a nice, juicy emergency fund just in case. Mama said there'll be days like this, there'll be days like this, my mama said, meaning there will be rainy days that will come. But you want to make sure if it arrives, you're in a good situation. After that, build. It's gonna be worth it. You're gonna thank yourself when you're literally past 30s. In your 40s, you're obviously going to definitely thank yourself. Okay, but yeah, this was a juicy. I genuinely enjoyed this. This was really, really good. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Like the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. But this was truly a good video. I took a lot